Mary had a little lamb.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From Radio Beacon to Radio Beacon. I have a dream. Change has come to America.
Believe it.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
All right.
Hi. Sorry to keep you.
That's all right. You ready to go to work?
Oh my God. I'm so ready to go to work.
I was raised to take action. My mother knew that she was raising two black daughters who would be treated differently because of how they looked. Growing up, whenever I got upset about something, my mother would look me in the eye and ask, "So what are you going to do about it?" That's why, when I saw a broken justice system, I became a lawyer to try and fix it. It's why, during the foreclosure crisis, I took on the big banks as California's Attorney General. It's why, as United States Senator, I have fought to represent people like my mother, people who politicians often overlook or don't take seriously. Right now, America needs action. In the middle of a pandemic, the president is trying to rip away health care. While small businesses close, he's given breaks to his wealthy donors. And when the people cried out for support, he tear-gassed them. America is in crisis, and I know Joe Biden will lead us out of it. He's a man of faith, decency, and character. He raised his family that way. I saw it firsthand with my good friend Bo. As Joe says, we're in a battle for the soul of this nation. But together, it's a battle we can win. We just have to take action.
First of all, is the answer yes?
The answer is absolutely yes, Joe, and I am ready to work. I am ready to do this with you, for you. I'm just deeply honored, and I'm very excited.
I'm ready. You ready? Oh, I'm so ready. Why can't... Oh, thank you. Why can't Kamala debate Donald Trump? Just saying. And let Biden debate Pence, because first of all, I don't think Pence is allowed to be in a room with a woman without a chaperone. I don't know how this is going to work on October 7th when the vice presidential debate in Utah, no less, takes place. I mean, is he going to bring mommy? Is he going to bring, I don't know. I don't know how. But is there a better person to go after Donald Trump than Kamala Harris? Answer, no. She would make a debate between Donald Trump and herself look like the closing arguments in the Scopes monkey trial. Do you know what I mean? This would be epic. I want her to be able to debate him so much, because look, she was able to make Bill Barr look like a stuttering fool. She was able to make Kavanaugh look like a dunce, a complete and utter dunce. Can you imagine what she could do with Donald Trump? Oh my God, just can't we just please? Anyway, she gets Pence. Okay, she gets Pence. So she's going to walk on. I mean, this woman is brilliant. There is no question. She has integrity. She has character. She has amazing recall. She's a lawyer. She was a district attorney in San Francisco. Then she was the attorney general of California. You realize that the attorney general's office in California, in size alone, the administration of it, which the attorney general is responsible for, that is the largest Department of Justice, second only to Maine Justice. And she totally, administered, and then, was reelected for attorney, and then became a senator when Barbara Boxer retired. I wonder if everybody remembers. Kamala Harris has only been a senator for 3 years, and it's incredible the amount of good she's already done. I mean, so can you imagine this sharp, brilliant woman walking on stage with this this bag of mayonnaise that is Mike Pence. I mean, he's like a bowl of mayonnaise. That's how much pizzazz he's got. And I don't even mean like Hellman's. It's not even the good kind of mayo. It's you could make the Miracle Whip joke if you wanted to with his twisted version of what heaven looks like. Apparently it's segregated between men and women. I don't know. But it's not even the good kind. It's like a bowl of farina, meeting a brilliant, buffet of intellect. I don't know how this is going to be. But listen, she's going to be the first black woman, the first Asian American woman. She'll be a lot of firsts. Let's hope she's the first post-Trump vice president. How's that? How's that for hope? Yeah. Her position on this pandemic. Please, we have less than 3 months before we actually vote. And then we have the whole lame duck thing, which is going to be a legal battle royale. So what a good pick to pick Kamala Harris. What a good idea that was, okay? But during the pandemic, she would like to see each and every, she believes, as I do, we need 6 good weeks of, staying in place. We need 6 good weeks of sheltering in place to deprive this freaking virus of hosts like New York did. Until you get the positivity rate below 5%. New York's positivity rate is less than 1% right now. And still, they're going slowly with indoor dining and bars and things of that nature. Meanwhile, you got the radical lunatic right. You got crazy people, 250,000 bikers riding into Sturgis, South Dakota, for a biker rally. The poor town, they got 7,000 people in the whole town, and they're staying locked up because they don't want to go anywhere near these people. They're like spreaders. They don't need to wear cowbells. The leather to mask ratio is enough to know who the spreaders are. But so during the pandemic, she would like to see each and every one of us, all families, get $2,000 a month to help us through a pandemic. Can we get her into office a lot sooner? Like last April would be good. And who thinks the ticket is just slightly backwards? Just saying. Listen, she, if need be, she is prepared to step into the shoes of the President of the United States. And if this all plays out the way that America will vote for it to work out, let's say it actually happens that our votes are counted, she'll be able to step in on day one. She's perfectly qualified to step in to Biden's shoes. They're orthopedic shoes. We know that. He said it, not me. He said he understood. He was older. And that he had to pick somebody younger because, God forbid, COVID, or he actually said, what if I got cancer like Beau? And she's friends. She actually was friends with Beau. When Beau was Attorney General of Delaware and Kamala was Attorney General of California, we had ourselves a little housing crisis. That was brought on by W and that Republican regime. And the banks offered like $1 billion in relief to the California homeowners, and she walked away from that deal. She just said no and walked away. And people were criticizing her. You left them in the lurch. How could? You better take a bird in the hand. She said no. She then formed a group nationally of attorney generals, a smaller group. Beau Biden was part of that group as Attorney General of Delaware. And they went back to the negotiating table, and instead of $1 billion, she got $18 billion in relief for Californians. That was her first year as AG. And we have Bill Barr, who, by the way, she made Bill Barr look like a stuttering freaking idiot fool. So let's get to know our Veep, everybody. I'm going to show you some of the greatest hits. Kamala Harris, greatest hits.
all things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
Judge, have you ever discussed Special Counsel Mueller or his investigation with anyone?
Well, it's in the news every day.
Have you discussed it with anyone?
With other judges, I know.
Have you discussed Mueller or his investigation with anyone at Kasowitz, Benson, and Torres, the law firm founded by Mark Kasowitz, President Trump's personal lawyer? Be sure about your answer, sir.
Well, I'm not remembering, but if you have something you want to...
Are you certain you've not had a conversation with anyone at that law firm?
Kasowitz, Benson.
Kasowitz, Benson, and Torres, which is the law firm founded by Mark Kasowitz, who is President Trump's personal lawyer. Have you had any conversation about Robert Mueller or his investigation with anyone at that firm? Yes or no?
Well, is there a person you're talking about?
I'm asking you a very direct question, yes or no?
I need to know I'm not sure I know everyone who works at that law firm.
I don't think you need to. I think you need to know who you talked with. Who'd you talk to?
I don't think I'm not remembering, but I'm happy to be refreshed, or if you want to tell me who you're thinking of who works.
Are you saying that with all that you remember, you have an impeccable memory? You've been speaking for almost 8 hours, I think more, with this committee about all sorts of things you remember. Yeah. How can you not remember whether or not you had a conversation about Robert Mueller or his investigation with anyone at that law firm? This investigation has only been going on for so long, sir. So
right,
please
I'm not
answer
sure.
the question.
I'm just trying to think. Do I know anyone who works at that firm? I might know.
Have you had? That's not my question. My question is, have you had a conversation with anyone at that firm about that investigation? It's a really specific question.
I would like to know the person you're thinking of, because what if there's...
I think you're thinking of someone and you don't want to tell us. Who did you have a conversation with at that
I am...
Mr. Chairman,
he needed senators to come and rescue him. This is Supreme Court material, according to the Donald. This is Supreme Court stuff. Okay, that was that. She, by the way, she's a junior senator from California, and so she had to wait for the second round of questioning. She went last. And all she did was ask him a couple of simple questions. He refused or could not or would not answer them, and then she went back to his opening statement at the end of this hearing when she got to question Kavanaugh. And in his opening statement, I don't know if anybody remembers this. I wonder, do you remember white supremacy girl that was sitting behind Kavanaugh? She was sitting there doing the white power thing the whole time. Remember her? Anyway, when you see this next clip, look for her. You'll know who I'm talking about. But let's refresh. Kavanaugh said in his opening statement that this was all a conspiracy because people didn't like Donald Trump. And so they conspired against him. Okay, keep that in mind. Here you go.
You have said in your opening statement, you characterized these allegations as a conspiracy directed against you. I'll point out to you that Justice now, Neil Gorsuch, was nominated by this president. He was considered by this body just last year. I did a rough kind of analysis of similarities. You both attended Georgetown Prep. You both attended very prestigious law schools. You both clerked for Justice Kennedy. You were both circuit judges. You were both nominated to the Supreme Court. You were both questioned about your record. The only difference is that you have been accused of sexual assault. How do you reconcile your statement about a conspiracy against you with the treatment of someone who was before this body not very long ago?
I explained that in my opening statement, Senator. Look at the evidence here, the calendars, look at the witness statements, look at Ms. Kaiser's statement.
Okay.
Okay, that's your defense. Supreme Court material, everybody. It's a conspiracy against me. Except none of this happened when Neil Gorsuch was in his confirmation hearings, because Neil Gorsuch didn't go to Squeeze House and have a train. with Quaaludes and alcohol imbibed by girls that they then put in a room and had a train with. Just saying. Okay, this is one of my favorite ever. Okay, how many minutes do I have here? Do you think?
You got a little over a minute and a half. But
oh, that's it?
A little bit,
no.
about a
Okay,
minute.
you're going to have to wait for this. I'll just play you what Trump said about her performance there with Kavanaugh yesterday.
I've been watching her for a long time, and I was a little surprised. She was extraordinarily nasty to Kavanaugh, Judge Kavanaugh then, now Justice Kavanaugh. She was nasty to a level that was just a horrible thing, the way she was, the way she treated now Justice Kavanaugh. And I won't forget that soon. So she did very poorly in the primaries, and now she's chosen. So let's see how that all works out.
Did anybody view those questions as nasty? Did you speak to anybody about the Mueller report at the president's lawyer's firm, Kasowitz? Now, obviously, she didn't pull that name out of her rear end. He did. And he wouldn't answer the question. He never answered the question, because that questioning went on for another 5 minutes about, did you speak to anybody about Mueller, Bob Mueller's report, at Donald Trump's personal lawyer's law firm? And then she asked, well, I'm a little confused. You know, we had Gorsuch. He was confirmed by this body, same Judiciary Committee, same people sitting here. How come there was no conspiracy against him, but there was one against you, even though Gorsuch was nominated also by Donald Trump? Can you explain that? Look at the calendars. Okay. That was his defense. Was that nasty, or was that proper lines of questioning for a Supreme Court nominee who clearly is not up to the task? Clearly. Trump is, I mean, he waited like 2 minutes before he got on the TV. Oh my God, did he get on the TV? I don't know if you saw that. But he waited like 2 minutes before he went to a podium somewhere, to a microphone somewhere, to call her nasty. Now, he's called her nasty before. He called Hillary Clinton nasty. He calls all smart women, all sharp women, all women of dignity, integrity, all really brilliant women. He calls them nasty. Now, in this case, you can best be sure that uppity didn't poll well, so he went with the tried and true nasty. You can best believe that he wants to use a word for her that he might just end up using if somebody, peeves him enough. But right now, N-word Kamala just doesn't have the punch he's looking for. But, I mean, this is unbelievable. Uppity, he put out, this is unbelievable. He put out a tweet calling the Democratic ticket Slow Joe and Phony Kamala. It's time for him to go, because clearly he's run out of nicknames. Clearly.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
Okay, this had to be the best use of 5 minutes ever. Ever. This is Kamala Harris questioning Bill Barr about his summary of the Mueller report that he released 3 weeks before anybody saw the Mueller report and the underlying evidence that clearly showed that Donald Trump had obstructed justice no less than 10 times.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Attorney General Barr, has the president or anyone at the White House ever asked or suggested that you open an investigation of anyone?
I wouldn't.
Yes or no?
Could you repeat that question?
I will repeat it. Has the president or anyone at the White House ever asked or suggested that you open an investigation of anyone? Yes or no, please, sir?
The president or anybody else?
Seems you would remember something like that and be able to tell us.
Yeah, but I'm trying to grapple with the word suggest. I mean, there have been discussions of matters out there that they have not asked me to open an investigation, but
Perhaps they've suggested?
I don't know. I wouldn't say suggest.
Hinted?
I don't know.
Inferred? You don't know. Okay. In your March 24th summary, you wrote that, quote, after reviewing the special counsel's final report.
But I will say that no one.
Sir, I'm asking a question. In your March 24th summary, you wrote that, quote, after reviewing the special counsel's final report, Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein and I have concluded that the evidence is not sufficient to establish that the president committed an obstruction of justice offense. Now, the special counsel's investigation produced a great deal of evidence. I'm led to believe it included witnesses' notes and emails, witnesses' congressional testimony, witnesses' interviews, which were summarized in the FBI 302 forms, former FBI Director Comey's memos, and the president's public statements. My question is, in reaching your conclusion, did you personally review all of the underlying evidence?
No, we took and accepted. We accepted
Mr. Rosenstein?
No, we accepted the statements in the report as the factual record. We did not go underneath it to see whether or not they were accurate. We accepted it as accurate and made our.
So you accepted the report as the evidence?
Yes.
You did not question or look at the underlying evidence that supports the conclusions in the report?
No.
Did Mr. Rosenstein review the evidence that underlines and supports the conclusions in the report, to your knowledge?
Not to my knowledge. We accepted the statements in the report.
Did anyone
characterization of the evidence is true.
Did anyone in your executive office review the evidence supporting the report?
No.
No. Yet you represented to the American public that the evidence was not, quote, sufficient to support an obstruction of justice offense.
The evidence presented in the report. This is not a mysterious process. In the Department of Justice, we have pros memos and declination memos every day coming up, and we don't go and look at the underlying evidence.
Sir, would you support
take the characterization of the evidence as true?
As the Attorney General of the United States, you run the United States Department of Justice. If in any U.S. attorney's office around the country, the head of that office, when being asked to make a critical decision about, in this case, the person who holds the highest office in the land, and whether or not that person committed a crime, would you accept them recommending a charging decision to you if they had not reviewed the evidence?
Well, that's a question for Bob Mueller. He's the U.S. attorney. He's the one who presents the report.
But it was you who made the charging decision, sir. You made the decision not to charge the president.
No, in a pros memo and in a declination memo.
You said it was your baby. What did you mean by that?
It was my baby to decide whether or not to disclose it to the public.
And whose decision was it? Who had the power to make the decision about whether or not the evidence was sufficient to make a determination of whether there had been an obstruction of justice?
Prosecution memos go up to the supervisor. In this case, it was the Attorney General and the Deputy Attorney General who decide on the final decision. And that is based on the memo as presented by the U.S. Attorney's Office.
I think you've made it clear that you've not looked at the evidence. We can move on. I think you've made it clear, sir, that you've not looked at the evidence, and we can move on.
He made a... Okay, this now in retrospect, now that we know so much more about what was in that report, in retrospect, this man... First of all, she was the Attorney General of California 2 times. So, and that's the second largest Department of Justice, Office of Department of Justice, second only to Bill Barr's office, DOJ Maine. So it's Attorney General questioning an Attorney General, and she knows what the proper procedure is for an Attorney General to make or decline to make a charging decision, especially if it's the President of the United States. And Bill Barr clearly did not look at any of the evidence presented by Bob Mueller in his report when he declined to charge the president with obstruction of justice, and held on to that report for 3 weeks to let it percolate through America that he was not going to do anything to hold the president accountable for what Mueller found had happened. Now, I hope you appreciate just how surgical that was. And it wasn't rude, and it wasn't uppity, and it wasn't nasty, and it wasn't stupid. See, this is Donald Trump's, he doesn't know many words, the Donald. So when Donald Trump finds a woman, especially women, or anybody in the press, for that matter, who asks a fair question, he characterizes it as nasty. That's such a nasty question. Or as a stupid question. And that is what he did with her questioning of Bill Barr.
He performed incredibly well today. And for the country, he performed well.
Kamala Harris.
Well, she was probably very nasty. You have 3 of them running against me, and they're up there ranting and raving like lunatics, frankly. And they're running, and how is that fair? So you have Bill Barr, highly respected, great attorney general, and he's got to take the abuse from people that are running for office. They don't care about this. They're just looking for political...
They're senators.
Okay, that was on Fox Business. That was the second time he's used the word nasty about you. What's that about?
God only knows. Listen, let me be very clear about how I think about what is important and what is before us. We have a president of the United States whose primary interest, I think, that has been clear as a result of what we know from the Mueller report. His primary interest has been to obstruct justice.
Yes, that has been his primary interest, and to get away with it. So I don't, listen, the slow Joe and phony Kamala, it just lays there. And I just, speaking of laying there, Mike Pence debating Kamala Harris. Just have that in your permanent Rolodex. It's just, wow, it's going to be good.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
All right, so any minute, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are going to appear together for the first time as our Democratic ticket. In the meantime, this is just recently, okay? This is one of my all-time favorites, and I don't know how many people watch C-SPAN. It's like, nobody wants to be around you when you're doing it. It's sort of like, a biker rally in Sturgis if you're from Sturgis. No one wants to be around you. Well, nobody. But I saw this. This was John Cornyn. They engaged in what they call colloquy. Colloquy is when one senator questions another senator, and they were talking about this policing bill. Okay, the policing bill, the Justice in Policing Act, had passed the House, and Rand Paul. I don't know if you remember this or not. Rand Paul objected to the anti-lynching provision in it, actually separately from it. And so they put the anti-lynching portion in the Policing Act, right? And this is the colloquy that took place. John Cornyn did not know what hit him, okay? This will come in 2 little pieces for you. Here's the first.
So I'm happy to entertain a question from the senator from Texas, and then I'll conclude my comments.
Thank you. Madam President, I wonder if the senator would tell me the bill that the Police Act that it sounds like the Democratic Conference intends to block tomorrow includes the anti-lynching legislation that you and Senator Booker have championed. Are you aware of that?
The same one that Rand Paul obstructed a couple weeks ago? Yes, I am aware of that.
So you're going to block, Madam President, so the senators are going to block their own anti-lynching bill by their vote tomorrow?
Absolutely not, and I think that it is important that we not distract the American people from the task at hand. We cannot pull out a specific component of this bill and leave everything else in the garbage bin. And that is the logical and actual and practical conclusion of where you're going with the suggestion that we would sacrifice issues like no-knock warrants, issues like national standard for use of force, issues like the need for independent investigations of police misconduct, issues like pattern and practice investigations with subpoena power for the United States Department of Justice in sake of one. It's like asking a mother, save one of your children and leave the others.
Oof. Well, he wasn't ready to sit down, so he kept on going, okay?
Madam President, may I ask one last question of the Senator? What I'm trying to fathom, Madam President, is why the Senator would rather have these negotiations occur behind closed doors as opposed to here on the floor of the Senate for the American people to see broadcast on television. Don't you think that sort of interaction and debate and negotiation out in front of all 330 million Americans would be beneficial to healing our country and coming to some consensus about what the appropriate reforms should be?
Indeed, that is the beauty of the Judiciary Committee. Our meetings are public meetings.
See, these are two old tactics. One is to pull out something in the bill and to focus on that instead of looking at the entire bill not being debated or introduced to the floor at all by the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, and to just hold one of their babies in the bill hostage and say, but it's lynching. I mean, really, you know. And the other old tactic is to say the negotiations are happening behind closed doors, when truly the debate would happen on the Senate floor. The debate would happen out in the open on the C-SPAN, which nobody wants to watch but me, but it would. He didn't know what hit him. Now, I don't find her nasty. I find her effective. I find her brilliant. I find her a fabulous advocate for her issues. And in this particular case, it was police reform, which is an issue that will not go away. That issue is going to go on all throughout the rest of these 3 months, on into the first 100 days of a Biden-Harris administration. People want accountability from the police. People are so sick of internal affairs, other police officers looking into police officers. People are sick of no-knock warrants being executed on the wrong people in the middle of the night without knocking on the door. People are tired of the same old pattern and practice of police ending up shooting somebody for a broken taillight. And so is she. And there is no way that you could ask, if Joe Biden tasks Kamala Harris with police reform, justice system reform, listen, it's in the homework. If you want to read her justice reform, her positions on mass incarceration, on marijuana prosecutions, if you want to read all on first-time nonviolent drug offenders, what should happen with them, which is something she did in San Francisco, something she did in California. She never prosecuted it, is what she did. It's in the homework. Just go to RandiRhodes.com and you'll see it says read here. Her entire justice reform platform that she put out when she was running for president is there for you to read. And I put it in 2 different formats for you so that you could have it. But on the other side of this coin, we have Twitler, who tweeted this morning that Cory Booker, Now, Cory sits next to her on the Judiciary Committee. Cory Booker is the one that crafted the anti-lynching legislation with her, okay, that Rand Paul is so anti. He's anti-lynching. Just like, you know, Bill Barr calls anti-fascists fascists. I mean, it's just, they're through the looking glass here. But anyway, Donald Trump tweets this morning that Joe Biden would put Cory Booker in charge of bringing low-income housing to the suburbs. Low-income housing. This is code word. This makes Willie Horton look like a call for racial unity. Okay, this is like the crumpled hands, the white hands, and a black man got your job. He also tweeted, quote, "The suburban housewife." What the F is a housewife? But he tweeted, "The suburban housewife will be voting for me." Where does he think? Is he running for sheriff of Mayberry? The suburban housewife. Is he running for sheriff of the Ponderosa? What is his deal? Do you have any idea? I live in suburbia. Do you have any idea what suburbia looks like? Does he know what suburbia looks like? Does he or is this just part of, you know, his daddy taught him you don't rent to blacks? I don't know what this is. But, you know, I cannot believe the choice is so stark and so crystal clear if you want to move forward. If you want to work, this is just, and then he said, Kamala Harris will take us, quote, backwards as a nation. Yes, off the cliff. Off the cliff on a different road to the future. I don't even know. Listen, this is so easy. This is such an easy one. He said, Kamala Harris is the kind of opponent everyone dreams of. Okay, keep on dreaming. Well, we're going to find out. Yeah. And that's why I want her to debate him and not the bowl of farina, not the bowl of mayo, Mike Pence, who probably does have to have a chaperone in order to be in a room alone with Kamala. Thank God there'll be, you know, a camera. Ooh, what if it's like my camera? It's a robotic camera, that camera. There's nobody running that camera. That camera is being run remotely by Brett.
I'd like to see Donald stalk Kamala around the stage like he tried with Hillary.
Oh, God. You know, if Hillary, honestly, I've had this thought forever. If Hillary would have just turned around and said, F off, she could have won. She would have won. Nasty woman. Get out your old nasty woman t-shirts, everybody. All the girls, get them all out because they're germane again. Man's run out of nicknames. Oh, my God.
Mary had a little lamb.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me. Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
Even before she became a prosecutor, she really made a point of working with some of the most disadvantaged women in the Bay Area.
She was organizing folks to figure out how to battle the real problem of sex trafficking in young women. And I was immediately enamored by her. She was young and amazing, but super tough.
Scared and facing a felony conviction for selling cocaine. But the single mother caught a break when she was diverted to Back on Track, a reentry program that diverts young, nonviolent, first-time drug offenders from prison back into productive life.
We charge them for committing the crime. They go to a courtroom and plead guilty because they did commit a crime. And this is about accountability. There's no fiction here. It's about, yeah, you did commit a crime, accept it, own up to it, and then let's talk about what we can do to change the circumstances going forward.
When Kamala created Back on Track, she deeply knew and understood the flaws in the criminal justice system. She came into office, she was very clear, not on my watch. Sometimes it was 7, 8, 9 at night, and she would, again, dressed like she was entering the courtroom. And I remember one of the young women asked her if she ever dressed down to work. And she said, I would never come in front of you not being my best. What I saw her do with no resources, with an instinctual drive to change the system was amazing.
So that's Latifah Simon. She led the initiative to help rehabilitate first-time nonviolent drug offenders rather than lock them up. And apparently Kamala Harris had like no resources available to her, and yet they worked together and formalized a court for young adults charged with felonies that resulted in them avoiding conviction and getting a second chance. And this was way back in the day. Way back in the day. And now I'm telling you, you need to read her criminal justice reform document, because Donald Trump is going to say, I mean, they haven't decided on the attack yet, right? Either they're going to say she was the toughest prosecutor and blacks shouldn't vote for her because she, right? Or they're going to say she's the most liberal prosecutor, and but they haven't made up their mind yet. So yesterday, two different people from the same Trump campaign gave two different answers to why African Americans shouldn't vote for Kamala Harris. Listen, at this point, Donald Trump is going to need something really flashy, okay? Because she's brilliant. She shines like a laser beam on a problem and gets it fixed. So Donald Trump really needs to, I don't know, recruit a Ferrari. Do you know what I mean? Something flashy. Dump Pence and pick a yacht or something. Do you know what I mean? Or Kanye. I don't know if you saw this thing. I'm not playing it. I'm not going to play it. Kanye did a live streaming thing on Facebook the other night. Now, I did pull a clip from it yesterday, and I did not play it, and I'm not going to play it today. I would just suggest, if you'd like, because the audio is bad, basically. All right? It's very bad audio. For a singer, for a performer, for an entertainer, he has no idea how to mic his voice. I'm no Kanye, but I know how to mic a voice. Okay, so the audio is like really bad, but he stood up on the stage and he just started screaming and then crying that he almost killed his daughter. He almost that. So, here's your choices. Get a flashy, I don't know, run with a fire truck, for God's sake. Name a police car, your VP or something like that. Or, or dump Mike Pence and go to Nikki Haley. I don't know. Something, because it's so flat, this thing. And it's the same old crap. Media is the enemy of the people. She's a nasty woman, whatever it is. And they can't decide whether they want to trash her or if they want to, trash her as being a tough prosecutor, or they want to trash her as being someone that wants to take apart the police. So yesterday you had Katrina Pearson saying she wants to take apart the police, and Kayleigh McEnany saying she's bad for blacks because she's a prosecutor. I mean, they have got to start talking to each other or something, because this woman doesn't suffer fools gladly. This woman is going to have absolutely none of this swill, okay? And she'll kill you with kindness. That's you could hear how she dealt with John Cornyn. Well, Senator, that's the beauty of our Judiciary Committee, is that we meet in public. And he just stood there because he didn't know what to do with that. Anyway, they're supposed to have gotten together at 10 to 4 Eastern time. It's now 4:12 Eastern time. And the last I saw is a shot of a gymnasium in Wilmington, Delaware, where the cameraman was white balancing the camera. And for those of you who don't know what that is, you don't need to know what that is. It just means they're not ready. Rob in Arizona.
Hi, Randy.
Hi.
Hey, I think Kamala's an excellent pick because I think she's going to be able to cover for any gaffes that Biden may make. And I think that
if you took all of Biden's gaffes and you built them into a mashup, it would probably take about 5 minutes. If you take any press conference that Donald Trump has or any appearance on Fox News that Donald Trump has, he would make those 5 minutes an hour and a half.
Absolutely. And I think during the debate, she will be debating Trump. And I don't know how she's going to do it, but I have confidence that it's going to be an interesting debate with the vice president.
What is he going to say to her? What is he going to do when she starts talking about you let up the coronavirus task force and they didn't have PPE and whatever happened to the mask mandate? Why what's he going to say?
Or divorce, infidelity. I mean,
what divorce?
Trump's divorces or infidelity.
Oh, you think that? I don't think that'll come up.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm like a lot of people who are just getting tired of debating people, Trump supporters, and I'm sick and tired of using facts and truth and figures. And it occurred to me how I'm going to treat Trump supporters in the future. And it came to me from a character in The Big Lebowski, this character named Donnie. He's played by Steve Pesci, and then the other character is John Goodman, Walter. And we just need to treat. And I'm going to call him Donnie's, ironically, it's the same name as Donnie's, as Walter does. And Walter basically is just saying, you're out of your element, Donnie. You don't know what you're talking about. You're like a child that comes halfway through a movie. You don't know what's going on. And the best line, and I won't swear here, is when Walter turns to Donnie and says, shut the F up, Donnie.
Yeah, I've seen that. That's a GIF, actually. That's something you can, respond to somebody's lunacy with, is that. But yeah, I mean,
I'm saying you got the Karens
listen,
out there. These are the Donnies.
Oh, did you see the Karen that won last night? Did you see the crazy QAnon Karen that won last night?
Oh, I heard about that.
Oh my God! Wake up, everybody! The inmates are running the asylum. A QAnon freaky anti-Semite racist abomination of a human being. This woman in Georgia's 14th. Her name's I just call her Crazy Karen, but her name's Marjorie Taylor Greene. She literally is a QAnon racist, anti-Islamist, anti-Semite. She covers it all. She hates everybody, right?
That's the administration. That is the administration.
She beat a freaking neurosurgeon in the time of COVID. That's how crazy the GOP has gotten. She beat a neurosurgeon? Crazy Karen.
All things Randy at RandyRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
Oh, everybody, meet QAnon Karen, Marge, if you will, if you must, if you may, who literally won in a runoff primary last night in Georgia's 14th, okay? Here she is.
There is an Islamic invasion into our government offices right now, okay? You saw after midterm elections we saw so many Muslims elected. I don't know the exact number, but there were quite a few. We had that woman out of Minnesota. Now she's going into Congress and she's got to wear a head covering. They want to put their hand on the Quran and be sworn in. No, you have to be sworn in on the Bible.
You do.
But we have an Islamic invasion into our government offices. Now, yes, I'll say this, we have freedom of religion in this country that protects anyone to have any kind of a religion that they want.
Yeah.
And that's great. That's one of our freedoms, right?
Right.
But I'm sorry, anyone that is a Muslim that believes in Sharia law does not belong in our government. But the generations of Black and Hispanic men, do you want to know what holds them down? Gangs. Being in gangs and dealing drugs is what holds them down.
Look at Brett's
The
face.
lack of education is what holds them down. That's not a white person thing, but gangs control them. They tell the young men in their communities, don't go to school. Don't you move out of this project. Don't you move out of this community. You join this gang. And that's where you belong. You belong with us. The gangs are holding them back. It's not white people. It's crazy.
QAnon Karen, meet the bikers in Sturgis. Just gangs.
You know, now that she mentions it, and I think about it, all the problems any people of color that I've known in my life, it is gangs. It's all gangs. She's right. It can all be attributed to gangs, every problem.
Please tell everybody you're kidding. Please.
Oh, my God. You know, all the stuff you play, that one legitimately shocked me.
She
That
won.
was legitimately shocking.
She won, Brett. She won. She beat a neurosurgeon last night. 60-40. She won. Marge won. Welcome to the GOP, everybody. The inmates are literally running this asylum. And yes, she's a QAnon person. She believes in this whole QAnon thing about, that Q is some intelligence official. She said she actually assigns a person to. He is someone that very much loves his country, and he is on the same page as us. And he is very pro-Trump, she said, of Q. She believes that there is some pedophile, a satanic pedophile group. Has she met Donald Trump? Has she met Donald Trump's friends? Has she met Ghislaine, who Donald Trump wishes well? Has she heard of Jeffrey Epstein? I mean, I don't even know where these people... Anyway, she literally loaned herself $900,000 and ran as a QAnon supporter, as somebody who believes in this conspiracy theory that some satanic worshiping pedophile group is running the country, and Donald Trump was sent by God to get rid of them. I mean, and she won against a freaking neurosurgeon who was all Trumpian. I mean, the neurosurgeon was a Trump douche too. I mean, he was a crazy, Trump supporter, but he was at least a doctor in the time of COVID. Oh my God. Yeah. So that's that. Hey, Marge, go talk to the bikers and find out who's dealing the meth. Who's dealing the meth and who's part of the white Aryan nation. Talk to that particular gang and find out that they're not in the suburbs, okay? They're not in my neighborhood. They're not in Brett's neighborhood. They didn't go to Brett's high school. They didn't go to mine. We were integrated, and we didn't have gang problems, but the people in Sturgis, or the people, that the Randy Weavers of the world, or the Timothy McVeighs of the world, or the Boogaloo Boys of the world, or the Proud Boys of the world, might be able to explain to you about gangs.
I had much bigger problems with my English 2 teacher than I did gangs.
Statistics, that's what did me in. That's what made me quit. I was like, now I have to learn math in Greek. Oh, F you. That's what did me in. All right, Joe on Long Island.
Hi, Randy. How you doing?
I'm all right.
Thanks for taking my call. I do love Harris.
Yeah.
But I wanted to send a message to my union brothers and sisters out there that we lost our unions on August 5th, 1981, when Reagan took office.
Yep.
And the thing was that the PACO union, the Teamsters, and the pilots union backed Reagan over Carter.
Yes!
And what did Reagan do?
Yes.
After they got in office? They fired all the PACO workers.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know how many people know that little detail. Everybody, some people who, understand our recent modern history understand that Ronald Reagan fired the air traffic controllers. Those were the PATCO guys that Joe was talking about. But what you may not know is that they endorsed Ronald Reagan, and then he disbanded their union.
We had 23% of this country unionized back then. We had the grocery packers unionized, all right? Now we have just below 12%. You're talking 12.5 million in 81 and 7.5 million today. Not only did he do that, in April of 83, he attacked Social Security. He put a Social Security amendment in there that laid a foundation for 30 years of federal government embezzling on Social Security.
Yeah.
When he raised those taxes, the Social Security had $2.7 trillion of surplus, and that was supposed to go to save and invest for the baby boomers. Not one dime went to that. They use that for wars.
They do it all the time. They did it with the post office too. So that's why the post office is in the red, because they were forced to prepay into the future, 75 years into the future, pensions for people that weren't even born yet.
And Trump already started. He already started. Trump has issued executive orders that restricted federal unions' ability to represent their members. And not only that, he kicked them out of federal buildings. And now he's got, he won that Janus versus the American Federation of State, County, Municipal Workers there.
Yeah.
And now that case is all for public employees nationwide, a right to work. And now he wants to include the private sector. Not only that, if a member decides not to stay with the union, right, that the union has to pay him all the back pay of union dues that he put into it. Could you imagine union members
because
in there
they
20
hate
years and
the
backs
people.
out?
Whenever the people organize, whenever the people are coming, that is what scares the elites in Washington. When the people show up, when the people organize, when the people get together, they have to find a way to break us up. And that's what they call wedge issues, okay? But this is tried and true. This is the oldest trick in the book. But yes, if it wasn't for organized labor, we would not have had a middle class. Period.
Clear. Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
We're about 90 days or so out from the election.
New policies at the U.S. Postal Service are causing backlogs.
With the intentional delay of mail, with the destruction of this delivery network, I don't want to use the word voter suppression, but I don't know what else you can call it.
The disgrace to democracy is the intentional suppression of the democratic right to vote.
We've heard from voters and workers in Wisconsin, in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and it makes us wonder, are we being targeted because our state matters?
There are those in power who are doing their darndest to discourage people from voting, even undermining the Postal Service in the run-up to an election.
Guy overseeing all this is Trump's newly installed Postmaster General, Louis DeJoy.
DeJoy is a big ally of the president and is currently in charge of fundraising for the Republican National Convention in Charlotte.
We used to run a logistics company, so he presumably has a good understanding of what you would need to do to slow down mail service.
Louis DeJoy is a major donor to President Trump and the Republican Party.
There's an intention to try to destroy or besmirch the reputation of the Postal Service.
The Postal Service is a joke.
That's an insult to every hard-working postal worker. It's an insult to every customer.
His administration is making cuts to the Postal Service, which would cause problems for mail-in voting.
Because there's a lot of fraudulent voting going on in this country. Thousands of votes are gathered, and they come in and they're dumped in a location, and then all of a sudden you lose elections that you think you're going to win.
Donald Trump relies on the existence of voter suppression. He practices it by yelling and screaming these lies about what's happening.
This is about one of the most stupid of ways to try to steal an election.
If we don't get what we need from Congress, I don't know what the future holds for the United States Postal Service.
Binding the country together, that's our mission. Connecting people in these challenging times. Contrary to what the President of the United States says, the Postal Service is not a joke.
Oh! So this is the next attack, okay? Yes, Joe on Long Island is absolutely right. They have been attacking organized labor. They've been attacking public servants. They've been attacking public service itself. And telling you, oh, our government needs to run like a business. Well, first of all, America is not supposed to run like a business, okay? America is not supposed to make a profit. The money that we pay in is supposed to come back to you in services. It's supposed to come back to you if you overpay. It's supposed to come back to you as the price for a civilized society. And they are tearing the society apart. Now the Postal Service, it has to be destroyed because Donald Trump thinks it should be run for profit. The Postal Service is called service because it's a service. And it's been that way since the Pony freaking Express. And this Louis DeJoy maniac is there to destroy it. First of all, his conflicts of interest are legion, okay? He has investments, like I said the other day. No one knows how. It could be anywhere from $7 to $31 million worth of investments in competitors for the U.S. Postal Service, okay? He's got a background in logistics, so he knows exactly how to slow the mail down. That's number 2. And number 3, Donald Trump hates the Postal Service, hates it, because voters can vote with it, and he hates anything that helps people vote. They started a mission. They started a thing where, now you see, if you're lucky enough, you'll see some drop boxes to help you not go through the U.S. Postal Service, to drop your ballots in drop boxes. And they have introduced legislation to stop that, to stop it. Just stop it. They don't want you to vote. This goes back to Weirich and his Heritage Foundation. When he I always forget his first name. I always want to call him Dick, because Richard or so. But his name's Paul. Paul Weirich, who invented the Heritage Foundation, a conservative think tank that will buy your swill of a book in bulk, so you can then declare that you're a best-selling author and then give it away for free to people who send money to be part of that think tank. I mean, it's a very sick, twisted little, pyramid scheme that they got going on there. But everything conservative is a pyramid scheme because all the money has to go to the top. That's the name of the game. How to get the money. How to get the money to the top, to redistribute the wealth to the top. They've been accusing us of wanting to redistribute wealth for years. And they've been doing that right in front of your face every time they pass another tax bill, right? Anyway, Paul Weirich said when he famously started the Heritage Foundation that the idea that we want people to vote is wrong. We don't want everybody to vote. In fact, the less people who vote, the better for their party. It's when the people show up. It's when the people organize. It's when we unionize. It's when we collectively do anything that they are terrified of us, and we must be stomped on like some sort of a bug. We're not a bug. We're a feature. We're not a bug. We're democracy itself. We're we the people. And it's not just some expression. It's what America is. Us. We. The people. They hate that. They hate that. That idea, that's just, no. But we have got to get rid of this Louis DeJoy guy. And you know what's tricky about it? What's tricky about it is the Board of Governors, they have the ability to get rid of Louis DeJoy, but the Board of Governors have all been appointed by Donald Trump. But make no mistake, they are literally breaking the post office. Raymond in the Bronx.
Hey, Randy, how you doing today?
All right.
So I was calling to take a little bit of issue with you comparing Mike Pence to Farina. I grew up eating that stuff. You put a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of sugar, and I'm sorry if this offends anybody, but you got Kamala Harris. So it's sweet if you add some cinnamon and sugar. The other thing I wanted to say is you've been talking about.
So you mean that as a compliment to her, right?
Oh, absolutely. That's the only way to eat.
It didn't come out.
We call it cremita. I've spoken to you before. I'm Puerto Rican from the Bronx.
Hola.
We call it cremita.
Sí.
And, that's something that I grew up eating until I was probably 15 years old.
Mafungo.
Mafungo. Oh. Yeah, I know you know because we spoke about your daughter and she's part Puerto Rican.
That is like her favorite thing.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing.
It is.
The other thing, the post office, you've been talking about this for years. Yes. I wasn't even going to say anything about it, but you've been talking about it for years.
I have.
And, it's just, again, like with many of the things, I've listened to you since Air America.
Yeah.
Many of the things that you've said, I sit there and I'm like, nah. And then
they happen.
Lo and behold, it happens.
It's hard
it's
being
scary.
smart. It's hard being smart. I was saying this to Howard the other day because we were talking about, like these bikers in Sturgis and how they don't care. And I said, well, they're thoughtless. And he goes, you know what? They're ignorant. And ignorance is bliss. It really is. Knowing what's going on is such a burden. It's so... But, we got to do the heavy lift. We have to.
Yep.
And you'll be part of it. So
Amen.
Thank you. Amen, my brother.
Thank you. Thank you, Randy.
Okay. Te amo, Mama. Bye. We got to do it. Because the gangs, the gangs, the bikers. I'm telling you, they're spreaders.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randy, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
It's common sense. And an absentee ballot's okay, where you send in for a ballot, they go through a process and they send it to you and then you send it, it's fine. But these mail-in ballots where they send millions of them all over the country, it's going to be a rigged election. And this country shouldn't allow it. The courts have to step in. We're in many different courts right now. If the courts don't step in, the federal courts, you'll never know who won the election.
Okay, to quote the caller, shut the F up, Donnie, okay? He's trying to delegitimize the election just like he did the last time, screaming everything is rigged because here's what's going to happen on election night, all right? You're going to have early returns. Now, whether or not Donald Trump actually looks at them or understands them or is told that he lost or whatever it is, he's going to declare victory. I hope everybody's ready for that. And then as the mail-in ballots come in the days later, when the counting starts with the paper, and there'll be paper, he'll say that they were all illegitimate. So that's an attempt to delegitimize the counting of paper ballots when he loses. He is planting the seeds for losing, is what he's doing over here. This is from the playbook. The 2016 playbook had the same page in it. And we kept saying, well, what if he wins? What is he going to say if he wins? He said it was a rigged election. The election was no good. It was not a fair election. It couldn't be a fair election. It was all rigged. Everything was rigged. And then he won, and he just dropped it and moved on to lock her up or moved on to, something else. He's a con man. And we're not being conned because we're not stupid. But the truth is, he's trying to rig the election again himself. And this time, he's delegitimizing valid ways of voting. Drop boxes, mail-in ballots, all of it. So now he wants Michigan and Nevada to withhold federal funding because he doesn't want that. He wants to withhold federal funding so that they can't afford to send mail-in ballots. Okay, that's number one. Number two, he wants to increase, they have one of the most valuable things Congress people have is called a franking machine. Okay, it allows them to send out campaign mail in volume for a lower rate. Believe it or not, it's very valuable. I wish I had it because then I could, give away T-shirts, but I can't because every time I give you one, it costs me $6 plus the cost of the T-shirt. So I just can't do it. I wish I could. I wish I had a franking machine. However, he wants to raise the cost of sending a ballot for the states. He wants to raise it from 55 cents to $1.50 because states budget for this, and it would break their budgets. And they're already seeing a loss of tax revenue because of COVID. I mean, the man is just he's an evil person. He's just evil. Fletch in New Hampshire.
Hi. I've watched a lot. I think the world of Stephanie. I heard her say something, but I was going to. But if you do your taxes through the mail, everybody does. Why can't you vote through the mail? Duh.
Duh.
I mean, But I had a poem. But
this is like the mask argument. You know, people say, yeah, do you know how stupid you look in that mask? Do you have any idea how stupid you look in that mask? I go, oh, you don't like the mask? Oh, okay. Can I have a cigarette in here? No. Why? Because I don't like the smoke. Oh, well, I don't like your droplets, okay?
I got 2 patches on right now trying to get off tobacco.
Oh, it's so hard.
Go ahead.
It's so hard.
You're saying?
So freaking hard.
I don't know if you really want this poetic thing. But.
No, I really don't. Rich in Denver.
Hey, Randy. Awesome show as always, my queen.
Thank you.
You are right, spot on. And happy Kamala Day. You know what? You know what they say about nasty women, Randy? They get S done.
They do.
You know? So, like you get S done. I was telling Brad.
What is wrong with ambitious women anyway? I mean, do you want a lazy partner? Because I don't even understand why people trash ambitious people. Is it jealousy? What is it?
Yeah, that's it. And that's it. And as I was telling Brett, Randy, you were positing the question about why he says suburban housewife. That's just racial for 1950s. Get back in the kitchen, be pregnant, and shut the F, you know.
Actually, no. That particular point. Okay. Well, first of all, calling women who work either raising their children or outside the home and inside the home housewives. Even the housewives of Beverly Hills and the housewives of New Jersey, they're not even housewives. Okay, there's no such thing as a housewife. What is he talking about, housewives? The other thing is, I live in suburbia. My neighborhood is mixed. Very, very mixed, very happy, very clean, very beautiful, and we all love each other. My neighbor, who I share, like the back fence with, the guy is a Jamaican soccer star. Okay, he was like a big guy in Jamaican soccer. Then the nicest people on the freaking planet. What does he think goes on in suburbia? I don't even understand. But this particular thing about the renters versus the owner, that's black white. That's totally racist. Totally. That has nothing to do with women.
Yeah, but he thinks that he's so out of touch, Randy, that he's connecting that with the 1950s, basically, when, and the white flight and stuff. It's the whole thing with the crime thing.
Right, yes. Black people inherently, yes, people who are immigrants or people who are from another country or people who are different, have more melanin or less melanin or this kind of, they are inherently dangerous.
Right, exactly. Randy, we got a cuckoo, elected here, a QAnon, and she gave her community food poisoning and diarrhea over on the Western Slope. So,
what do you mean?
We had a QAnon here in Colorado who got elected over on the Western Slope, and she has a business, a barbecue business, and she gave her community, basically, her business gave people food poisoning and diarrhea and stuff. Wow. So you were talking about they're all just wackadoodles, And to Joe on Long Island, Randy, and I've told you this before, one third of all Americans worked in unions and manufacturing. Unions set the bar in this country.
Yes, they did, and and the people that did it literally were attacked by Pinkertons. They were attacked by all kinds of private military. They literally died for the right to collectively organize. Now, why is that such anathema to the political elite, to the moneyed elite? Why is it so? Because there's more of us. And if we all stop this bullcrap on wedge issues and actually focused on what we all care about, and that's making a living, raising our families in peace, raising our families in love, raising our families to do better than we did, and we all organize together, black, white, Latino, African, Jamaican, Haitian. Oh my God, they would be out of their minds scared. They would shake in their freaking Gucci loafers. They'd be so frightened. They wouldn't know what to do.
But exactly. And you've said this many times before. They just want a piece of the American dream. We don't, we all just want to, I'm a white guy. I live in suburbia too, Randy. And it's like, we just want to get this country back to what it represents. It's, you know, what it is, the promise for our children, our grandchildren, us, you know?
Yeah.
And it's, you know, to the QAnon, that QAnon who said, you know, we shouldn't even be swearing on the Bible. We should be swearing in on the Constitution. Randy, I love you. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for the time, and I'll talk to you later.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's go to Aaron. Oh, wait. Something happened on the phone. Uh-oh. Did you see that? I've never seen that color before. That was blue. Did you see that blue? It's usually red. Aaron, real quick, what do you want?
Okay. Anyways, I just want to ask you.
Yeah.
What if Trump wins again?
Shut up.
For another 4 more years?
Shut
what do we do?
front door. Shut the front door, Aaron. Don't we have enough problems, you and me?
I know.
So
we do.
stop.
You know my story, but
I know your story.
What do we
Don't even put it out in the atmosphere. Don't even put it out in the universe. No. No. I say no.
Okay.
Okay. Don't even put it out in the universe. Listen, the polls would have to be so bonkers. Biden is leading in Florida, Aaron, by 13 points. Okay? Concentrate, focus, everybody. Eye on the prize. We're good.
Mary had a little lamb. The fault.
We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America. From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, let's go.
Come on now.
Okay, we ready?
I think I learned this in middle school.
Or 5th grade.
Can I say this in Spanish?
So should I read just this line or the whole thing?
Justice.
Tranquility. Tranquilidad.
Liberty.
Liberty.
Let's do this.
We the people.
We the people.
We the people.
Nosotros. We the people.
We the people.
We the people of the United States.
De los Estados Unidos.
In order to form
a more perfect union.
Establish justice.
Ensure domestic tranquility.
Provide for the common defense.
Promote the general welfare.
And secure the blessings of liberty.
To ourselves and our posterity.
Do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America.
We the people.
We the people.
We the people.
We the people.
We the people. We the people.
We the people.
We the people.
We the people of the United States.
We the people call the 48th Quadrennial Democratic National Convention to order.
I liked it. I did. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I mean, you know, I wish I could play the Bruce Springsteen, The Rising video. I can't because it's copyrighted material and I'll get kicked off of YouTube. But if you didn't get goosebumps watching that video, you're dead. You're dead inside is what I want to say. And Howard's a New Jersey guy, so, you know, he's Bruce all the way. You know, but that particular video, that was amazing. So the theme last night was We the People. Tonight's theme is leadership, okay? And I swear to God, you can have a convention without all the balloons and the prostitutes. Who knew? Maybe the production guys. I don't know. I mean, who knew? This is like, it was, I liked it. I think it's the right feeling for the most amazingly twisted time that we find ourselves in, where everybody is wearing masks and, we're watching testing results, come in a week late and 4 weeks late and 2 weeks late and 9 days late and 8 days. And Donald Trump slowed the testing down. It has happened. This is why Florida is like, our testing has gone down so much that they're now, saying, oh, well, you only had 2,000 cases in Florida. We have, every single day, 1,000 Americans die, and there's no accounting for. The whole thing is ridiculous. But I liked it last night. Bernie is all in. Bernie is all in. Okay? And that was a beautiful thing. They managed to show a heartfelt memorial for George Floyd, a video of Joe Biden, on Amtrak every day of his life so he could get home from work every night and kiss his little boys goodnight. This was like the most warm and humanizing and decent presentation of who we are in this country. What makes the American experiment worth doing. I liked it. I have to say, Michelle Obama, she knocked it out of the park, as she always did. Whenever she speaks, because she said it last night. She hates politics. She hates it. But she loves America. And her husband was president and created the largest expansion in our economy in the history of our economy. And, for the first time, uncharacteristically, Michelle Obama actually spoke in political terms against Donald Trump, and it was, welcome and needed. I liked all the elements of her speech. It was emotional, it was truthful, it was, the idea that our kids can't go to school. She was like as shocked as we are, and I really, really liked it. It was diverse. Andrew Cuomo got the COVID portion down pat because he took New York from a living hell to less than 1% positivity, and he did it with strict lockdowns, and he knows that we could have done it by now nationwide, but instead we have Donald Trump, who is a symptom of what's wrong with this country. I liked it. Now, I looked at the ratings about, I can't even tell how many people watch anything anymore because of the streaming that gets done, and I know a lot of people, they stream this show. A lot of people are watching it on apps. There is a DNC app for that. There's all kinds of stuff. So, but I could just tell you, the TV viewers, there were almost 20 million TV viewers spread out across all the networks. So I don't think anybody, won the night by showing it, but cumulatively, it looked like 18 million watching somewhere on a television. And I don't know how many people streamed the thing, but I'm going to guess that we had about a quarter of the electorate watching last night. And that's good, but it's not great. We need more people to watch because we built a very big tent. Yesterday I was telling people to wake up because they were trashing that Kasich from Ohio, Republican. We had a lot of Republicans last night. They had a whole block of Christy Todd Whitman from New Jersey, Meg Whitman from eBay fame. She's now at Quibi. We had a whole block, and then Kasich, which was kind of corny, standing at a crossroads somewhere in Ohio, saying we're at a crossroads, as if it was very Mike Gravel. You know what I mean? Although Mike Gravel is sort of a performance artiste. To those of you who don't know who I'm talking about, move on. I'm not going to explain Mike Gravel to you. Just look him up. But it was a whole block of Republicans saying to sane Republicans, your party has left you. We are currently people without a place to go that is safe, that represents American democracy. And so we're going to Biden. And they created sort of this permission zone for people from that party to be welcomed into a very big tent. It wasn't a slam on this one or that one or any. It was a welcome to anybody who feels that the party that they usually identify with has left them, like, you know, Steve Schmidt keeps telling you, the party is the party of Trump now. And if you're not some racist, homophobic, bully autocrat who believes that when Barack Obama used an executive order to expand, to protect DACA recipients, and Donald Trump uses executive orders to move money around, which really is the right of Congress, that it's okay when Trump does it because he's Trump, but it's not okay when Obama does it, even though he has a great role to play in immigration as president of the United States. You know, people who can't think their way out of a box, we're not concerned with you. We are concerned with people who believe character matters, who believes integrity matters, who believe that racism in this country is off the charts, out of control, and that we're so divided that we can't get anything done. For 98% of America, they want some sort of background check on before you could sell a 17-year-old an Uzi. Do you know what I'm saying? So I thought that was effective, and I'm not one of these people that if you say to me, you belong to a different party than I do, all of a sudden every idea you ever had sucks. It's just not, it's not who I am. It's not who I ever will be. I am a progressive person. I believe progress is the way forward, but I'm not a hater.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
In an unprecedented moment, we're facing the worst public health crisis in 100 years and the worst economic collapse since the Great Depression. We are confronting systemic racism and the enormous threat to our planet of climate change. And in the midst of all of this, we have a president who is not only incapable of addressing these crises, but is leading us down the path of authoritarianism. This election is the most important in the modern history of this country. In response to the unprecedented crises we face, we need an unprecedented response, a movement like never before of people who are prepared to stand up and fight for democracy and decency and against greed, oligarchy, and bigotry. And we need Joe Biden as our next president. Let me take this opportunity to say a word to the millions of people who supported my campaign this year and in 2016. My friends, thank you for your trust, your support, and the love you showed Jane, me, and our family. Together, we have moved this country in a bold new direction, showing that all of us, black and white, Latino, Native American, Asian American, gay and straight, native-born and immigrant, yearn for a nation based on the principles of justice, love, and compassion. Our campaign ended several months ago, but our movement continues and is getting stronger every day. Many of the ideas we fought for that just a few years ago were considered radical are now mainstream. But let us be clear. If Donald Trump is reelected, all the progress we have made will be in jeopardy. At its most basic, this election is about preserving our democracy. During this president's term, the unthinkable has become normal. He has tried to prevent people from voting, undermined the U.S. Postal Service, deployed the military and federal agents against peaceful protesters, threatened to delay the election, and suggested that he will not leave office if he loses. This is not normal, and we must never treat it like it is. Under this administration, authoritarianism has taken root in our country. I and my family, and many of yours, know the insidious way authoritarianism destroys democracy, decency, and humanity. As long as I am here, I will work with progressives, with moderates, and yes, with conservatives, to preserve this nation from a threat that so many of our heroes fought and died to defeat.
Thank you, Bernie. Thank you. Abso-freaking-lutely. I loved it. I thought this was so, it was so inclusive. It was Big Tent. It was, hey, this is more important than, any single issue you might have or any compilation of issues that you might think are the voting issues. This is about democracy itself. This is about losing the ability to be free. Right now, our U.S. passports, and this hit me months ago, okay, when this whole thing started, and Europe said Americans can't come here, and Canada said Americans can't come here, and Central America said Americans can't come here. I mean, there were like 2 countries in this whole world where we as Americans can travel because this president blew it so hard, okay? That we are trapped. We are literally not free. We can't even move about this country from state to state without a lockdown, without a 14-day quarantine being required of you if you need to come from Florida and go to New York. I mean, it's just such a bizarre time. And so the idea that, the values that you hold have everything to do with the country that you live in. And to connect those 2 ideas right now is the most important thing to do. It doesn't matter what the issue you have in your head that you'd like to, like, maybe you would work on it. Maybe you would volunteer for, Moms Against Guns or something like that, or Everytown USA, or there's an organization that actually advocates for a position that you hold very, very sincerely. This doesn't supplant that. This is the guiding principle of this election, is that none of that matters or can happen if Donald Trump is president for 4 years. And yesterday he said not only does he want to, I don't know if he says this to tweak the media or if this is just, the way he likes to F with your head as an American who relies on the peaceful transition of power as the guiding principle of this country. But yesterday he literally said that he's running for 4 more years and then 4 more after that. Now, if that's funny to you, you got problems. You got really big problems that I can't help you solve. This president has been shown to have taken foreign help. Today, this is amazing, the Senate Intelligence Committee, which is chaired, the Republicans have the Senate majority. And so when you have the majority, you get all the chairmanships of all the committees. And so the chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee is Senator Richard Burr, who had to recuse himself from this Russia investigation because he was doing insider stock trading. I mean, it's just, it's amazing, the corruption that happens in that party. All right. So, but Richard Burr is the chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, along with the ranking member, Senator Mark Warner, the Democrat. And the 5th and final report on the Russian interference in the 2016 election came out today. It's 900 pages, so I just know very few people are going to sit down and read this. But if you did, it would shatter any, if you were an honest person, it would shatter any ability you might have to believe anything Donald Trump says or denies that he did. He calls the Russia investigation to this minute a hoax. Okay? This Senate Intelligence 5th volume of a 5-volume report paints a very clear portrait of the Trump campaign and its hundreds of contacts with Russia and Russian intelligence operatives. It calls out Paul Manafort as being in league with the actual hackers who hacked into the DNC in 2016. He has been connected to that Russian operation in this report. Roger Stone was colluding with WikiLeaks. It's unbelievable.
Connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
You know, it was mostly small talk when we first met. When I would collect his ticket, and time went on, I learned more and more about him as our friendship grew. I think he's most comfortable around everyday working class people. It just always makes you feel like you belong.
For more than 30 years, Joe Biden took the train to work. As a single dad, he promised to be home to kiss the boys every night and then make them breakfast in the morning.
When he got on the train, everyone seemed equal to him. He had time for everybody.
Joe was a regular. He bought rounds of coffee for fellow passengers and crew, and he got to know the people he traveled with.
These guys broke their necks. They're always rocking, keeping their balance, collecting tickets, help people with their bags that were heavy as hell. And they're doing this for hours. And we became really good friends.
He was very interested in my life, my children. As time went on, my grandchildren. People don't do that today. People don't even take time out to say hello or nod their head to the average working person. They looked at us like we were important people.
He would treat the conductor the same as he would the President of the United States. That is what Dad taught us, that everybody deserves to be treated with dignity and respect.
These were beautiful videos. I mean, they were just beautiful videos. I can't even imagine like trying to make a video like that about Donald Trump's early years, where he wouldn't rent to blacks. Making a warm and fuzzy video about taking out a full-page ad in the New York Times demanding the death penalty for the Central Park Five who did not do it. I mean, how could you even? And in the long run, being president of the United States is completely about character. It is completely about integrity. It's completely about whether or not you see Americans at all phases in their lives, at all stations in life, at all levels in life, as being important. Do you understand kitchen table issues? Do you understand a working guy's day? Do you understand a working mom's day? Do you understand, what Americans are going through in a freaking time of COVID? I mean, and the answer clearly is Joe Biden does. The answer is clearly that he believes in the best of America, which is, an opportunity, a shot. And Trump's got nothing. He's got nothing. Nothing he says sticks to Joe Biden. All the bullying and the questioning of Joe Biden's, mental ability. I mean, come on. It's ridiculous. And Michelle Obama, she did a fabulous job of explaining what it was like in the White House with Joe Biden as the vice president of the United States.
I know Joe. He is a profoundly decent man, guided by faith. He was a terrific vice president. He knows what it takes to rescue an economy, beat back a pandemic, and lead our country. And he listens. He will tell the truth and trust science. He will make smart plans and manage a good team. And he will govern as someone who's lived a life that the rest of us can recognize.
There you have it. He has lived a life that the rest of us can recognize. Half the problem with Donald Trump is he's so evil and cruel and self-centered and selfish, so devoid of compassion and empathy and care for others. half the problem is no one knows anybody that cruel. And so it's hard to imagine that there are people who are that evil walking among us. And that people that evil, you know, to normal everyday work a day, you know, try to get by, even people who are, you know, in a position to offer assistance to others because they've gotten enough or a little bit, you know, set aside. They don't recognize that kind of evil except in movies. They don't think it's real because they don't know anybody this cruel, this ugly, this divisive, this bigoted, or this, you know, maybe you know somebody who's, you know, racist, but you don't know anybody that would kill another guy or turn to our enemies and say, help me, you know, be an autocrat, or, you know, screw the American people. You know, he actually said that the people in the blue states during this COVID epidemic who had governors he did not like, or governors that weren't nice to him, he said those people could rot. That's the stuff of a freaking horror flicks, okay? That's crazy, you know, like Lovecraft country lore. That's like, you know, Game of Thrones cruelty. That doesn't exist in most of our worlds. And so to believe that the president of the United States, no less, is a cruel Marquis de Sade type person who gets, you know, giggles and joy out of stepping on people's necks, it doesn't seem real. They just think, well, he knows how to play the game for himself, for the benefit of himself. And he thinks the way to play is to cheat and to lie and to thieve and to lie about the cheating, the lying, and the thieving. And then there's this whole question of, is this a hard job? And, you know, what kind of a mind does it really take to be the president of all Americans?
I am one of a handful of people living today who have seen firsthand the immense weight and awesome power of the presidency. And let me once again tell you this. The job is hard. It requires clear-headed judgment, a mastery of complex and competing issues, a devotion to facts and history, a moral compass, and an ability to listen, and an abiding belief that each of the 330 million lives in this country has meaning and worth. A president's words have the power to move markets. They can start wars or broker peace. They can summon our better angels or awaken our worst instincts.
Guess which one we want? What do you think we want? The economy is, it's shattered. It's decimated. 40% of these small businesses will never come back. Only 42% of Americans expect to be called back to work. Everything that we count on is broken.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
Empathy. That's something I've been thinking a lot about lately. The ability to walk in someone else's shoes. The recognition that someone else's experience has value too. Most of us practice this without a second thought. If we see someone suffering or struggling, we don't stand in judgment, we reach out. Because there, but for the grace of God, go I. It is not a hard concept to grasp. It's what we teach our children. And like so many of you, Barack and I have tried our best to instill in our girls a strong moral foundation to carry forward the values that our parents and grandparents poured into us. But right now, kids in this country are seeing what happens when we stop requiring empathy of one another. They're looking around wondering if we've been lying to them this whole time about who we are and what we truly value.
That's it.
They see people shouting in grocery stores, unwilling to wear a mask to keep us all safe. They see people calling the police on folks minding their own business just because of the color of their skin. They see an entitlement that says only certain people belong here, that greed is good and winning is everything, because as long as you come out on top, it doesn't matter what happens to everyone else. And they see what happens when that lack of empathy is ginned up into outright disdain. They see our leaders labeling fellow citizens enemies of the state while emboldening torch-bearing white supremacists. They watch in horror as children are torn from their families and thrown into cages, and pepper spray and rubber bullets are used on peaceful protesters for a photo op. Sadly, this is the America that is on display for the next generation. A nation that's underperforming not simply on matters of policy, but on matters of character. And that's not just disappointing, it's downright infuriating. Because I know the goodness and the grace that is out there in households and neighborhoods all across this nation. And I know that regardless of our race, age, religion, or politics, when we close out the noise and the fear and truly open our hearts, we know that what's going on in this country is just not right.
You know, it's every single thing that we've talked about since this man was sworn in and gave a speech about American carnage. It's the lack of decency, the lack of care for others. It's the lying, it's the cheating, it's the stealing, it's the lack of empathy, it's the calling COVID a hoax, Russian interference a hoax. You know, when Adam Schiff stood up and gave his closing in the Senate after only one Republican voted to hold Donald Trump accountable for cheating in the 2016 election, for encouraging Russia's interference. Russia, if you're listening, I hope you can find, right? Now we have this volume, this last volume of the Senate intelligence reports that discuss who hacked and who knew about the hacking and who was working with the hackers. And we now know that Paul Manafort was working with Russian intelligence, and he knew about the hacking. He was told by Russian intelligence, by the GRU, that they had hacked. Roger Stone was the go-between for the hacked material from the Russians to WikiLeaks, and Donald Trump lied to Bob Mueller in writing when he said he didn't recall speaking to Roger Stone about the WikiLeaks dumps. So we know that we have a president who is literally a traitor to our nation. We know that we have a president who is doing active measures to to discourage at least people from voting by mail in the time of a pandemic. We know that. We also know that the Democrats have not suffered this silently. We know that the bipartisan report that was issued today from the Senate Intelligence Committee says that there was a legitimate counterintelligence investigation into Donald Trump, and that, it happened, and that it will probably happen in this election if it's not already. We also know that the Democrats have filed lawsuits, Democratic secretaries of state, Democratic governors, against the Postal Service for not following the reports of which mailboxes are low density mailboxes, And willy-nilly, they're taking mailboxes, citing the fact that the U.S. Postal Service had previously taken low-density mailboxes out of service. But we have reports from all over the country that the mailboxes that are being taken are in high-density areas. They're in front of postal offices. They're in front of, shopping centers. They're in front of Targets. They're in front of schools and libraries, and very few of them are low-density mailboxes from residential neighborhoods. And in fact, none of the rules are being followed. Well, 20 Democrats filed lawsuits against the Postal Service for doing this, for saying that for the first time in our history, bulk mail that are election ballot mail will be treated less than first-class mail. We've always treated ballots as first-class mail, even though ballots can go for 20 cents instead of 55 cents. We know that he was limiting, if not outright eliminating, overtime. We know that DeJoy had put in place pickup limits. If the truck left at 10 o'clock, it couldn't go back for any mail that was sorted and due for delivery that day. They couldn't go back and get it. They had to leave it on all these different things. Well, it seems like we got a result. We got multiple results. First of all, this is really crazy, but we know on Monday, Louis DeJoy is going to testify in front of Carolyn Maloney's House Oversight Committee, right? We knew that. And we also know that Nancy Pelosi called Congress back to vote for a postal bill that would give the $25 billion that the Board of Governors of the Postal Service said they needed. And what we didn't know until today is that the Senate Government Oversight Committee, which is chaired by this douche named Ron Johnson from Wisconsin, who is willing to take Russian propaganda that is being supplied to him by this Ukrainian-Russian parliamentarian named Durkash. Okay, this guy works in tandem with the Russians inside of Ukraine. Ron Johnson heads the Government Oversight Committee in the Senate, and we've pressured that committee with Ron Johnson as its chairman into holding hearings as well. So that's going to happen in the Senate next week also. But what's really interesting about that committee is that Kamala Harris is on it. So she will get to question Louis DeJoy and the chairman of the Board of Governors of the Postal Service. Also today, another result we got is that Louis DeJoy said he will stop doing all these things that he's been doing. Overtime will be given. Sorting machines they won't be returned, but he'll stop stealing them. He'll stop stealing the mailboxes, the blue boxes. He's going to stop doing that. He put out a statement today saying that everything that he's been doing, he will stop doing. This way, he can go and testify and say, we're not doing that anymore, which is what Mark Meadows said on the Sunday shows. But it wasn't true. And now Louis DeJoy is going to hide behind this declaration today that he will stop stealing your mailboxes. He will stop prohibiting overtime. He will treat ballots as if they're first-class mail, as we always have. So we got a result even in the freaking Senate, which is shocking. Shocking. I am telling you, this election will not be done until it's done. We have such a struggle ahead of us, and we need real people to lead it.
Mary had a little lamb. The fault.
We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me. Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
Donald Trump is the wrong president for our country. He has had more than enough time to prove that he can do the job, but he is clearly in over his head. He cannot meet this moment. He simply cannot be who we need him to be for us. It is what it is.
Ha!
Now, I understand that my message won't be heard by some people. We live in a nation that is deeply divided, and I am a Black woman speaking at the Democratic Convention. But enough of you know me by now. You know that I tell you exactly what I'm feeling. You know I hate politics. But you also know that I care about this nation. You know how much I care about all of our children. So if you take one thing from my words tonight, it is this. If you think things cannot possibly get worse, trust me, they can and they will if we don't make a change in this election. If we have any hope of ending this chaos, we have got to vote for Joe Biden like our lives depend on it. I know Joe. He is a profoundly decent man, guided by faith. He was a terrific vice president. He knows what it takes to rescue an economy, beat back a pandemic, and lead our country. And he listens. He will tell the truth and trust science. He will make smart plans and manage a good team. And he will govern as someone who's lived a life that the rest of us can recognize.
I just thought that was just an amazing foray into politics, something Michelle Obama does not like doing. Now, tonight is night 2, and tonight is about leadership. I suggest you watch it, and if your network is not showing you the convention by 9 o'clock, okay, because that is when it starts, 9 o'clock Eastern time, that you go to another network like PBS, or you go to the streaming online and watch it at YouTube, you know, the DNC's YouTube, or load the DNC app and watch it on the DNC app, because this matters. This matters. And yes, it's without balloons, and tonight is the roll call, and it's, you know, I don't know how they're going to, I mean, they'll put it together, you know, on, they're going to probably have 50 different crews out, you know, covering all the states, casting their ballots. You know, they're saying, you know, Wisconsin cast 30, whatever, you know, Florida cast 29 ballots, 29 electoral votes for Joe Biden. I mean, but tonight is Bill Clinton, who I hear is going to decimate Donald Trump. It's just a rumor. You know, I don't have it in writing, but I hear Bill Clinton is going to be so brutal about who Donald Trump is and what he knows about Donald Trump. We also have the second lady, Jill Biden. She's going to be the keynote speaker at 10 o'clock tonight. But also tonight you have the former U.S. Attorney General Sally Yates. Remember her? This is important, especially considering this 5th volume from the Intel Committee that clearly says that Donald Trump's campaign did everything that you think he did, that Paul Manafort was working with Russian intelligence, that George Papadopoulos was also involved in that portion of the wrongdoing, that Roger Stone was actually the go-between between the hackers and WikiLeaks and the Trump campaign, and that despite not recalling that he spoke to Roger Stone about the WikiLeaks stolen document dumps, he did, and that he lied to Bob Mueller too, and that there's material in this particular intelligence volume, this is the last of 5, that clearly says unconnected to the Steele dossier, unconnected. It says this is important, quote, separate from Steele's memos, which the committee did not use for support, the committee became aware. Now remember, this is a bipartisan committee headed by a Republican, Senator Richard Burr. The committee became aware of 3 general sets of allegations involving women, 2 of which described a tape. We know Michael Cohen's book described golden showers in Las Vegas. This says there's 3 reports of women on Donald Trump's trips to Russia, 2 of which involve tapes. I mean, they talk about the transition team of Donald Trump, that Russian officials, this is a quote, Russian officials, intelligence services, and others acting on behalf of the Kremlin were capable of exploiting the transition team's shortcomings to advantage Russia. Based on available information, it is possible, even likely, that they did so. This is another quote. Detailed review of Vladimir Putin's campaign to elect then-candidate Donald Trump reveals damning and illuminating facts about the actions taken by Donald Trump. Brett, I can hear you. Brett, I can hear you. The report's detailed review of Vladimir Putin's campaign to elect then-candidate Donald Trump reveals damning and illuminating facts about the actions taken by President Trump, his family, his most senior campaign advisors, and it goes beyond the work of special counsel Robert Mueller. 900 pages, no one's going to read it. But Sally Yates is going to be at the DNC tonight, so I would suggest you tune in for Sally Yates. We're going to have Chuck Schumer tonight, who also, commented on this report. We have former Secretary of State John Kerry tonight. You have Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and I know there are a lot of people who are criticizing that she only got 1 minute to speak. Can I just tell you, she's a first-time Congresswoman? I love her, okay? I love her. I think she's brilliant. I think she's probably down the road going to demonstrate herself as worthy of incredible public service in various offices in the United States of America, maybe even the highest office. One can only hope that people of her intellect and speaking abilities could flourish in our government. But you have to remember that AOC is a first-time congressperson. She's not John Kerry. Okay, she's not the former Second Lady of the United States. She's not the former acting U.S. Attorney General. She's not President Bill Clinton. And so people want to dismiss things because somebody told you, oh, well, she only got a minute. Yeah, she's a first-term congressperson. But they're also including the Navajo Nation president, Jonathan Nez, state representatives from around the country. You're going to see state mayors. You're going to see city mayors like from Long Beach. It's a very inclusive thing. I can't even imagine what you know what? I know he's confirmed 2 guests for his convention. You know who Donald Trump has confirmed? Remember the crazy McCluskeys in St. Louis that pulled the weapons on the peaceful protesters in their neighborhood? They're speaking at the RNC, at Donald Trump's thing.
All things Randy at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
My dad was a healthy 65-year-old. His only pre-existing condition was trusting Donald Trump, and for that, he paid with his life. The coronavirus has made it clear that there are 2 Americas. the America that Donald Trump lives in, and the America that my father died in.
Wow.
Enough is enough. Donald Trump may not have caused the coronavirus, but his dishonesty and his irresponsible actions made it so much worse.
That's a fact. That girl's name is Christian Urquiza. And, you know, last night they had a lot of ordinary Americans. They had farmers and they had, small business owners that owned a restaurant for 35 years and never, ever, they had some good times. They had some bad times, but they've never seen anything like this. You know, like the complete destruction of middle-class lives, the complete destruction of the ability for kids to go to school. You know, UNC Chapel Hill, they had to go to remote learning. Georgia had to go to remote learning. I mean, these freaking governors that are loyal to Donald Trump, they're lying. And then you look at like a governor like Cuomo, who was able to actually get everybody to voluntarily do the right thing through his leadership and beat back COVID, and now their schools will open.
We went through hell, but we've learned much. We know that our problems go beyond the COVID virus. COVID is the symptom, not the illness. Our nation is in crisis, and in many ways, COVID is just a metaphor. A virus attacks when the body is weak and when it cannot defend itself. Over these past few years, America's body politic has been weakened. The divisions have been growing deeper. The anti-Semitism, the anti-Latino, the anti-immigrant fervor, the racism in Charlottesville, where the KKK didn't even bother to wear their hoods. And in Minnesota, where the life was squeezed from Mr. Floyd. Only a strong body can fight off the virus. And America's divisions weakened it. Donald Trump didn't create the initial division. The division created Trump. He only made it worse. Our collective strength is exercised through government. It is, in effect, our immune system. And our current federal government is dysfunctional and incompetent. It couldn't fight off the virus. In fact, it didn't even see it coming. The European virus infected the Northeast while the White House was still fixated on China. The virus had been attacking us for months before they even knew it was here. We saw the failure of a government that tried to deny the virus, then tried to ignore it, and then tried to politicize it. The failed federal government that watched New York get ambushed by their negligence, and then watched New York suffer, but all through it learned absolutely nothing. So today, 6 months after it began, the nation is still unprepared. And we now face a second threat, but this time not from Mother Nature. This is a man-made threat by our own negligence. We now see the virus ricocheting across the country, from one state to another. Today, we trail the world in defeating COVID. We have over 5 million cases. Americans learned a critical lesson, how vulnerable we are when we are divided, and how many lives can be lost when our government is incompetent.
Amazing. Now, I don't know how long you think that is, but that was 2 minutes. That was a 2-minute speech. That's what that was. All right. Robbie in Texas.
Yes. Hi, Randy. You have a great show. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
And you're welcome. I want to ask you, why can't we insist, or some of us insist, or the legislature insists, that he put these mailboxes back, DeJoy, I'm talking about in Trump, put these mailboxes back and restore these machines. Those machines, those sorting machines, cost millions of dollars. My dad was a postal worker. Those are huge machines, and they cost millions of dollars. How can he throw these things away? This is a travesty.
Yeah, well, we're going to find out why he thought that he needed to remove them in the first place on Monday. Saturday, we're going to see a piece of legislation passed by the House, and we'll see what they call for to be done. Do they say that the machines have to be put back? Do they say that the mailboxes have to be put back? Because mailboxes, as you know, are taken out when they are low-density mailboxes. But we have reports from Pennsylvania, New York City, New York State. We have Montanans, all kinds of local news reporters saying that the mailboxes that were taken were in high-density areas. So he's lying about where the mailboxes were taken from. But we're going to have 2 hearings. We're going to have one in the Senate, and Kamala Harris is on the Senate committee that is going to receive Louis DeJoy. The House is Monday, and Saturday we'll see a piece of legislation. So maybe your solutions are in there.
Well, I would hope so. And could I mention, too, that even if they are low density, shouldn't he be mandated to leave them there? Because the post office is a service, and in low density areas, people still need to use the mailboxes.
Well, that's sort of the 2006 law that Mark Meadows and the Freedom Caucus passed. That's what makes this happen, is them passing that piece of legislation. And, you know, I think I'm the only person in talk radio that has talked about the Postal Service for years, because I saw what they were doing to it. But people don't really pay a lot of attention to these kinds of bills that become law. They're just, you know, they just take it for granted. And the sad truth is you can't take it for granted when Republicans pass bills, because they're always looking to redistribute services and money from you to others who are donors, or the donor class, or the corporate elites that hire lobbyists that make what these corporate elites want clear to the Republicans. Diane in Arkansas.
Yes, I participated in a pro-post office demonstration at noon today, and the manager of the post office and some workers came out to thank us. My whole position is about the service for senior citizens, getting their bills, paying their bills, getting their medication.
Yeah.
And I suggest that anyone, it's best if you could go during the day when the post office is working, or Saturday morning. I plan to do that in another post office. I just had a sign. It said, "Save our post office," and "Thank you, postal workers." Most people don't know maybe that the post office hire a lot of our veterans, a lot of our disabled people, a lot of our disabled veterans as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, they do. I'm reading stories. I saw one this morning, a Houston man, 82 years old. He's gone 2 weeks without his heart medication. Even though there's a tracking number on it, he can see it's sitting in the postal service. It's sitting in the office.
Well, this is not something the postal office workers want.
No,
Their
I know.
goal has always
No.
been to get.
Yeah, we get it. Okay, we really get. This is not the postal workers doing it. Okay, but you could also put a little note in your mailbox thanking your postal service worker. You can do that.
To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
As long as I am here, I will work with progressives, with moderates, and yes, with conservatives to preserve this nation from a threat that so many of our heroes fought and died to defeat. This president is not just a threat to our democracy, but by rejecting science, he has put our lives and health in jeopardy. Trump has attacked doctors and scientists trying to protect us from the pandemic, while refusing to take strong action to produce the masks, gowns, and gloves our healthcare workers desperately need. Nero fiddled while Rome burned. Trump golfs.
Oh! That's just the way he just it's so specific. Nero fiddled, Trump golfs. I'm telling you, this is going well. So now the digital numbers are starting to roll in. It looks as if what I said, I thought about a third of the electorate watched last night. It looks like about 28.9 million Americans saw some of the Democratic National Convention on television or on digital platforms. Every American needs to watch. I like this format. I like it without all the screaming and the contretemps on the floor and the mute. I mean, I like it. I think the production is well done. I think it's the right feeling, if you will, for the moment, which is we're all in lockdown or severely limited in what we can do. We all have masks on our face when we're doing things like going to the supermarket or to Target or to Walmart. This actually makes you feel that something abnormal is going on in this country. And something abnormal is going on in this country. And while it's going on in this country, we literally have the President of the United States teaming up with the My Pillow dude to tell you that oleander plants extract, okay, oleander extract can cure COVID when you pour it in a test tube or some such swill. Bleach will also kill a virus if you pour it in a test tube, but you can't pour it in your body, and this makes no sense. This is craziness. This is really mass madness. And everybody has to pay attention to the choice that we have to take America back to American values. Free and fair elections. Free and fair discourse. Knowing that your rights begin and end where your nose begins and ends. I mean, this is wild, what's going on. Catherine in Washington.
Hi, Randy.
Hey.
Kind of nervous. So I'm worried about this election because of the polling that I've been watching. And I just saw a poll on Twitter today that's tracking the youth vote, 18 to 34-year-olds. Mm-hmm. And it said that they will vote Democrat or third party, but they don't go Republican. So I think it'd be really great. I don't know if you saw AOC on the House floor responding to Yehu or whatever his name is, that rep. And
Ted Yoho?
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
So I find her really inspiring.
She is.
And in the 2004 DNC, the keynote speaker was a little-known state senator named Barack Obama. That was my first sight of him. So I just think her her speech would just inspire the youth out there, Oh, she inspires me, and I'm 62 years old.
Yeah.
So that's just, I'd like to see more her and less Republicans at the DNC convention, but that's me.
That is you. It was important that those Republicans were there last night. It was very important. It was important because you have a lot of moderates, you have a lot of suburban women who may have never ever voted for a Democrat in the history of their voting, and they needed to know that this was a big tent and that they could have a home with us, that they would be welcome with us. So it's important that all voices are heard at our big tent Democratic National Convention. It's important. It matters. I like her too. I like her a lot. And, would I be upset if they gave her 3 minutes? No, I would not. But you have to remember that just because you like somebody or because you think somebody should have, or, it doesn't work like that. It just doesn't. We have so many speakers tonight. I can't even count them, but it's like so many of them. You got Stacey Abrams. You got Connor Lamb, Colin Allred from Texas. You got a lot of people. You got a Democrat from Tennessee. You got Pennsylvania, Nevada. You got former state reps. You got the Commissioner of Agriculture here in Florida, Nikki Fried. I voted for her. You got mayors from Long Beach. And we got a lot of people, a lot of different voices. So,
all right.
I hear you. But Brother Mark in Rome?
That's me. First time, long time, Randy. Thank you. I'm calling. I love listening to the show. I watch it online every night. But my home address is in California, although I have a residency here. So I have to vote by overseas ballot. And I have an arrangement with the registrar's office that doesn't involve the post office at all. They email my ballot to me. I print it out, fill it, sign it, and fax it back. And that way I avoid the post office altogether.
I didn't know you could do that.
Well, I did. I voted that way during the primary.
Today's primary day in Florida, everybody. Just letting you know. It is. I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you could fax.
I think you have to acknowledge that, your ballot may not be like as secret as it would be normally if it were in an envelope. But if you're okay with that, if you just want to get your vote in one way or another.
I have to check that out. I did not know that was something you could do.
Yeah, I do it. And I'll do it this election, too. Because I can't trust the Italian Postal Service either.
Oh, all right. Well, at least you have one. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Thank you very much, Randy.
Okay, be safe there. Fax. You could fax. I didn't know. I didn't even know we had fax machines anymore. Did you know that we had fax machines? Apparently they have them in Italy. I don't know. I got to look it up. Like I said, every single state has its own rules. That's why I don't like talking about what your state allows versus what my state allows versus what Iowa allows versus what Georgia. But I haven't seen a fax machine in 100 years.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
All right, so this is what Trump did today.
Later today, I will be signing a full and complete pardon for Susan B. Anthony. She was never pardoned. Did you know that? She was never pardoned. What took so long?
They're laughing at him, his own people.
And you know that she got a pardon for a lot of other women, and she didn't put her name on the list. So she was never pardoned.
Oh, God. That's what he did. That's what he did today. And then at this women's suffrage gathering, and they laughed at him for pardoning Susan B. Anthony. Then he proceeded at this women's suffrage event. Today marks 100 years of the women's vote. I couldn't believe it. He pardons Susan B. Anthony. Okay. And then he trashed Michelle Obama.
Yeah, no, she was over her head, and frankly, she should have made the speech live, which she didn't do. She taped it, and it was not only taped, it was taped a long time ago because she had the wrong deaths. She didn't even mention the vice presidential candidate in the speech, and, she gets these fawning reviews. If you gave a real review, it wouldn't be so fawning. I thought it was a very divisive speech, extremely divisive. We have a tremendous amount of enthusiasm for my campaign because of things like we're talking about now, drug prices and drug cuts and transparent.
Oh, my God. 4 weeks ago, he said he was going to have a health care plan in 2 weeks, okay? So he's saying that Michelle Obama was in over her head, a Princeton graduate, because when she taped her message for the Democratic National Convention, we had 20,000 less dead people. Only Donald Trump would call attention to the fact that since Michelle Obama recorded her address to the Democratic National Convention, 20,000 more Americans are dead. Which just makes the whole empathy argument even more succinct. It's just unbelievable. James in Washington State.
Shalom. How are you? BDS Israel, by the way.
Huh?
BDS Israel.
What's that?
Oh, I mean, divest, sanction, boycott Israel. BDS Israel?
Okay, well, I don't talk about Israel, so.
Oh, okay. The thing I wanted to say is this, Randy. I know Hillary and Bill Clinton have a lot of credibility in the Democratic Party, but I got to tell you, I don't want to hear them speak.
Okay, then don't watch.
What I mean is, I think they're losing more votes than they're gaining by presenting these two people at all. You know.
Why wouldn't you want to hear from a previous president of the United States?
I understand. First, I'm a Democrat. I voted Democrat my whole life. I'm certainly progressive as I can be.
Right.
But these guys they're so corporate. They're as Republican as they are Democrat, and they're certainly as complicit as anybody or anything in where we are and why we are where we're at.
Meaning what? What did they contribute to?
Well, NAFTA, for instance.
What?
He didn't have to implement that. Just because it was in the tube, he didn't have to implement NAFTA, number one. Number two, they were complicit in the Iran-Contra thing, important.
They were? That was the 80s. That was 1986.
Well, he was governor in Arkansas at that time, as you know. And that cocaine, that horrible Republican cocaine.
Oh, the Mena airport crap. Okay. All right. Yeah.
He's a very astute guy.
Yeah, all right. Okay. Well, I want to hear from Bill Clinton. I do. I there is no perfect person who will ever be. Just doesn't happen. And his record of accomplishment, I would take again. I really would. Balanced budget, 22 million new jobs, best gun legislation I ever saw in my life. The expansion of a college opportunity, biggest expansion since the GI Bill, which I got ripped off on when I joined the Air Force. There was a GI Bill. When I came out, there wasn't a GI Bill. You know what I mean? Lowest unemployment in 30 years, lowest black unemployment, lowest unemployment for women, all the things that Trump takes credit for. That's what Bill Clinton was able to do. Just saying. Is he without sin? No. No. Let the first person without sin cast. I guess that's you. You cast the first stone. I guess you're sinless. All right, Michael in L.A.
Hi there. How you doing?
Good.
Last night I tried to watch the convention on ABC.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really aware of what was going on, and I watched it. And then I found out that all the little videos they had in between the speeches weren't shown.
Oh, really?
They had their commentators there in between the speeches.
Oh, no. Oh, really?
Chris Christie.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So your networks aren't any good at all.
Oh,
I don't know why they're doing that.
I don't know why they're doing that either, because the videos were great. They were phenomenal.
Yeah.
Are you saying that they didn't show The Rising? They didn't show the Bruce Springsteen video?
No.
They didn't show the Amtrak video?
All I saw were the speeches. The speeches.
No. You have to go to PBS or something. Well,
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is Trump, his demeanor has changed in the last month. And I think they've changed his meds or something. They've got him on meds. Because if you look at that scene where they take him away from the microphone because there was a shooting, just look at him as he walks over there. He's like he's out of it. So, anyway.
So you think that they've taken the Adderall down and increased, the Seconal or whatever the hell he snorts, smokes, drinks, shoots?
Well, the Adderall, I'm on Ritalin myself, and Ritalin makes me calm. Go see it. So, but I don't know, there's something different about it. And he's not the screaming Mimi that he was a month ago.
Well, you know what's he knows he's losing. Okay, he does, and I think he's slightly more open, let's say, to listening to others tell him what he needs to be doing for about 5 minutes, and then he'll say, "No, I'm the chosen one. I know best. I'm the best person. I alone can fix it," because he's going to try. Listen, we're in for the most raucous time. I don't know how many people understand that November 3rd is not going to be the end of our election. It just isn't. And they're going to come out and they are going to declare Donald Trump the winner anyway. And that is going to rock everybody's world. And then he's going to launch a battle against the mail-in ballots, saying that they were always fraudulent, they were never any good, the election was rigged, and put us through absolute hell. Absolute hell. And I just want everyone to be prepared for what is coming. This is going to be the most... Look, this man survives on chaos. Chaos allows him to steal. And he's going to create as much chaos around this election as humanly possible with lawyers. Bill Barr's going to come out with some legal mumbo-jumbo and tell you why you can't count the mail-in ballots. And when I look and I see that 66% of Democrats want to vote by mail and 66% of Republicans want to vote in person, you know what's going to happen.
Well, the other thing is, if you take and meditate on what's the worst thing he could do, you can't come up with anything even close to what he is going to do. So, I love you, Randy.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Aaron in New Mexico.
Hi, Randy.
How you doing?
Same old thing.
All right.
Hey, you know what? I compare this thing to Trump to Jim Jones.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah, I understand.
You know what's weird? But they even look alike.
They do?
They do.
I don't think they look alike.
Well, kind of.
No one looks like him. No one looks like him. He's orange. I've never seen a human being that is that shade of tangerine. I've never seen a hair doozy like that. I've never.
It's orangutan.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a very bizarre looking individual who's even normalized the bizarre look that he actually works on. The white pockets that are where your eye socket is supposed to be, because he's wearing the goggles, the tanning, the hairspray, the doozy, the comb over. It's all so weird. Everything about him. And he's making it normal. He talks about his beautiful hair and people applaud. As if it's not weird. As if the choices he makes to wear a tie that's hanging down to his knees isn't weird. He's a weird dude, man. His own wife wouldn't hold his hand. I didn't want to make a thing out of it. But there's a video of Melania walking down the stairs of Air Force One with him, and she's clinging to that Hermes bag for life itself just to avoid touching him. Because he's a horrible person.